If your team runs cloud workloads, AI services, developer pipelines, or internet-facing infrastructure, today's security question is simple. Which patch changes your blast radius first? This is Daily Tech Hack Global for July 27, 2026. The facts in this briefing come from NBD, CISA when reachable, and linked vendor advisories. I will keep the discussion defensive, no exploit commands, no payloads, and no step-by-step attack chains. The lead item is CVE-2026-66012. NBD describes it as, CUN before version 3.7.2 contains a missing authorization vulnerability in the post/MCP kernel endpoint, which is gated only by a general off-check, model.checkoff, with no admin role or read-only enforcement. This exposes 31 MCP tools, including a file tool with list/read/write/delete/rename/copy actions across the entire workspace. When the publish server is enabled in anonymous mode, conf published enable equals true and conf publish.author enable equals false, the publish reverse proxy attaches an anonymous role reader JWT to pro. The recorded severity is critical with CVSS 10.0. Why it matters: agent tools often forward credentials or call internal APIs, so path scope, least privilege, and audit logs matter as much as model behavior. The second item is CVE-2026-63732. NBD summarizes it as, 9 router 0.4.59, fixed in 0.4.60, contains a chain of vulnerabilities, a hard-coded default password, 123456, that authenticates any fresh installation, a bypass of the local_only network gate via a spoofed host header, and unvalidated arguments passed to child_process.spawn. When registering MCP plugins, a remote, unauthenticated attacker can log in with a default credential, spoof the host header to reach local-only routes, and register a malicious MCP. Severity is critical with CVSS 9.9. The operational takeaway is to map this advisory to exposed systems, service credentials, and any automation that can turn a small weakness into a larger incident. Item 3 is CVE 2026-65700. H2OGPT through 0.2.1 contains a path traversal vulnerability in the OpenAI-compatible Files API that allows unauthenticated remote attackers to read, write, and delete arbitrary files accessible to the server process by supplying traversal sequences in the bearer token. The get_user_dir function in OpenAI_server/backend_utils.py uses the bearer token string unsanitized as a path component via os.path.join, and because. Severity, critical, CVSS 9.8. Defensive context, prioritized by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. Item 4 is CVE 2026-60644. Vulnerability in the Oracle Web Center content product of Oracle Fusion Middleware, Component, Web Content Management. Supported versions that are affected are 1.2.1.4.0 and 1.4.1.2.0.0. Easily exploitable vulnerability allows unauthenticated attacker with network access via HTTP to compromise Oracle Web Center content. While the vulnerability is in Oracle Web Center content, attacks may significantly impact additional. Severity, critical, CVSS 10.0. Defensive context, prioritized by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. Here is the defender checklist. First, identify whether any affected product is internet-facing, reachable from CI systems, or reachable by AI agents and automation. Second, patch according to the vendor advisory, not just the headline score. Third, review service accounts, API keys, pod identities, OAuth apps, and tool credentials that could be reused if the affected system was compromised. Fourth, add monitoring around unusual admin actions, image pulls, tool calls, authentication failures, and outbound network requests. Fifth, document what was patched and what was deferred so tomorrow's team can audit the risk instead of rediscovering it. The larger lesson is that AI security is not only prompt security. It is the security of runtimes, cloud services, tool connectors, identity boundaries, and the operational process that decides what gets patched first. Patch what is exposed, reduce what is privileged, rotate what may have leaked, and make automation prove what it is allowed to touch.